You have been lied to. Not by your parents, not by your teachers, but by a system that never wanted you to discover this one truth. Success is not about talent. It is not about intelligence. And it is certainly not about luck. In fact, the most successful people in the world are not smarter than you. They simply understand one invisible law that governs every human life. This law decides who rises and who stays exactly where they are. Most people go their entire lives without even realizing it exists. They wake up, go to work, repeat the same thoughts, and wonder why nothing ever changes. But once you see it, once you truly understand it, your entire life begins to shift. Stay with me, because in the next 2 minutes you are going to hear something that was never taught in school, and never meant to be taught at all. Section 1. The architecture of the mind. There's a singular question that has perplexed the human race for as long as we have recorded history. It is a question that sits silently at the breakfast table, accompanies us on our commute, and stares back at us from the mirror in the quiet hours of the evening. It is the question of why some individuals seem to move through life with a distinct magnetic purpose, accumulating success and fulfillment as naturally as a river flows to the sea, while the vast majority struggle against the current, finding themselves after years of labor with very little to show for their effort. We live in an era of unprecedented opportunity. We stand upon the shoulders of generations who toiled to build a society where the road to achievement is open to anyone with the will to travel it. Yet, despite this abundance, despite the removal of the old barriers of caste and geography, we see a peculiar phenomenon. We see a landscape where confusion reigns, where anxiety is the default setting of the human mind, and where true, lasting accomplishment, the kind that brings peace of mind as well as material security, remains a rarity. Why is this? Why do men and women, endowed with the same physiological equipment, the same 24 hours in a day, and often the same environmental starting points, arrive at such drastically different destinations? The answer is not found in luck. It is not found in circumstances, nor is it found in the stars. The answer is found in a principle so simple, so incredibly obvious, that it has been overlooked by the masses for centuries. It is a truth that has been written in every language, preached from every pulpit, and analyzed by every philosopher worth his salt. It is the strangest secret, and the only reason it is strange, the only reason it remains a secret, is that we simply do not believe it. The secret is this: we become what we think about. Let that settle in your mind for a moment. It is a statement of 6 words, yet within those 6 words lies the key to history, the key to your future, and the explanation for the life you are living at this very moment. We become what we think about. If you were to distill the wisdom of all the great teachers, the sages, the theologians, and the prophets who have walked this earth, you would find that they disagreed on virtually everything. They disagreed on rituals, on politics, on the nature of the divine, and on the codes of conduct. But on this one point, this single overriding law of the mind, they were in complete, unanimous agreement. There was no dissent. From the Stoics of Rome to the Transcendentalists of New England, the message has been identical. A man's life is what his thoughts make of it. Now, why do we call this a secret? Why is something so fundamental treated as if it were hidden knowledge? It is because it places the burden of responsibility squarely upon the individual. It removes the comforting blanket of victimhood. If it is true that you become what you think about, then you cannot blame the economy, you cannot blame your upbringing, and you cannot blame your employer for your current station in life. You are where you are because that is exactly where your thoughts have brought you. You will be tomorrow where your thoughts take you. To understand this, We must look at the human mind not as a mystical vessel, but as a mechanism, a tool of incredible power. It is the only thing in the universe over which you have been granted absolute, inviolable dominion. You cannot control the weather. You cannot control the stock market. You cannot control the actions of others, but you can control what goes on inside your own head. And because thought is the ancestor of every action, by controlling your thoughts, you control your destiny. Consider the law of cause and effect. We accept this law readily in the physical sciences. We know that if we heat water to a certain temperature, it will boil. We know that if we release a stone from our hand, gravity will pull it to the earth. We do not question these laws. We rely on them. We build our bridges and our skyscrapers based on their predictability. Yet, when it comes to the landscape of our own lives, we tend to believe that we are subject to chance. We believe that success is a lottery, or that failure is a stroke of bad luck. This is a tragic misunderstanding of reality. The laws of the mind are just as ruthless, just as consistent, and just as predictable as the laws of physics. The mind is like a fertile piece of land. The land does not care what you plant in it. It is totally impartial. It does not distinguish between the nightshade, a deadly poison, and the corn, a sweet and nourishing food. If you dig 2 little holes in the earth and plant the corn in one and the nightshade in the other, cover them up, water them, wait, what will happen? The land will return what you planted. It will produce the poison with just as much abundance and energy as it produces the corn. The human mind is far more fertile, far more incredible, and mysterious than the land. It works the same way. It does not care what you plant, success or failure, a concrete, worthy goal or confusion, misunderstanding, fear, and anxiety. You must understand that the mind does not judge the seed. It only executes the instruction contained within the seed. This is where the vast majority of people lose their way. They do not realize that they are planting seeds every waking hour. Every thought you entertain, every idea you dwell upon, every worry you nurse, is a seed sinking into the rich soil of your subconscious. If you think about failure, if you dwell on what you lack, if you constantly envision the worst-case scenario, your mind will take those thoughts and work tirelessly to manifest them in your reality. It will steer your actions, your posture, your tone of voice, and your decisions toward the realization of that failure. You will become what you think about. Conversely, if you plant the seed of a specific constructive goal, if you visualize it, if you treat it as a reality, if you tend to it with the sunlight of belief and the water of persistence, your mind will move heaven and earth to bring it to pass. It has to. It has no choice in the matter. It is the law. The problem we face in modern society is that we have ceased to think. We have confused activity with accomplishment. We have confused worry with thinking. Most people do not really think. They merely react to stimuli. They wake up, they read the news, they react to the news. They go to work, they react to their colleagues, they react to their problems. They are like logs floating down a river, carried by the current of circumstance, bouncing off the banks of their environment. They have no rudder, no engine, and no destination. Thinking, true thinking, is a deliberate act. It is the act of taking control of the rudder. It is the act of deciding where you wish to go and holding the image of that destination clearly in your mind, regardless of the turbulence of the water around you. This requires discipline. It is the hardest work in the world, which is why so few people engage in it. It is much easier to drift. It is much easier to let the opinions of others shape our reality. It is much easier to conform, to lose ourselves in the crowd, to seek safety in numbers. But look at the crowd. Look at the statistical average. Is that what you want. Is the average standard of peace, of wealth, of happiness the standard you wish to adopt for yourself? If the answer is no, then you must break the pattern of conformity. You must understand that your mind is a gold mine. It is more valuable than any resource you could ever possess in the physical world. If someone gave you a literal gold mine, would you ignore it? Would you let it fill with weeds and debris? Or would you work it? Would you excavate it? Would you refine what you found there? We tend to undervalue the mind because it was given to us for free. It came with the package at birth. We have a strange human quirk where we only value things that we pay money for. We value our cars, our homes, our clothes, because we exchanged labor and currency for them. But the things that are given to us for free, our bodies, our souls, our hopes, our intelligence, our minds, we take for granted. Yet, these free things are the only things that possess real value. Everything that can be bought can be replaced. A man can lose his fortune and make another one. He can lose his home and build another one. But the things given for free are irreplaceable. You must realize that this strangest secret is a double-edged sword. The same law that can lead a man to a life of prosperity, accomplishment, and deep satisfaction can lead him to the gutter. It is all in how the tool is used. It is all in how the pilot steers the ship. Imagine a ship leaving a harbor. The captain is on the bridge. He has a chart. He knows exactly where he is going and how long it will take. He has a definite port of call. That ship has a 99% chance of arriving at its destination. Now imagine another ship. It is identical to the first. It has the same engines, the same hull, the same capacity, but there is no captain. There is no crew. There is no destination. You just start the engines and let it go. I think you will agree with me that if it gets out of the harbor at all, it will either sink, wind up on some deserted beach, or shatter against the rocks. It cannot go anywhere because it has no destination and no guidance. You are that ship. Your mind is the engine. Your thoughts are the captain. If you have no destination, if you are thinking about nothing in particular, or worse, if you are thinking about your fears and anxieties, you will drift. And in the ocean of life, drifting is dangerous. The currents of mediocrity are strong. They pull toward the rocks of frustration and despair. This introduction is your wake-up call. It is an invitation to examine the contents of your own mind. What are you thinking about right now? What is the dominant thought pattern of your day? Is it constructive? Is it defined? Or is it a chaotic mix of worry and vague wishes? There is a vast difference between wishing for something and thinking about something. Wishing is passive. It is an admission that you do not believe you will receive it. Thinking, in the way we are defining it here, is active. It's the architectural blueprint of reality. When an architect looks at an empty lot, he does not wish for a building, and he sees the building in his mind. He draws the plans. He calculates the stresses. His thought precedes the physical laying of the brick. You are the architect of your life. Every day, you are laying bricks. You are laying them with your thoughts. Are you building a cathedral, or are you building a shack? Are you building a prison for yourself, constructed of fear and limitation? Or are you building a palace of freedom and contribution? The choice is yours. It has always been yours. The variable is not the world. The variable is you. The world is a mirror. It reflects back to you perfectly the attitude you present to it. If you present a confused, fearful attitude, the world will seem a confusing, fearful place. If you present a confident, expectant attitude, the world will open its doors to you. As we move forward in this examination of the strangest secret, we are going to strip away the complexity. We are going to look at how you can practically apply this law. We are not interested in abstract theory. We are interested in results. We are interested in how you can take this raw, unpolished truth and use it to transform your life from what it is into what you have always known it could be. But before we can build, we must clear the site. You must accept fully and without reservation this primary axiom. You are the sum total of your thoughts. You are where you are, because that is where you really want to be, whether you admit it or not. Your current life is the harvest of your past thoughts. Your future life will be the harvest of your current thoughts. This is the groundwork. This is the foundation. We become what we think about. Once you accept this, really accept it, you have effectively taken the wheel of your ship. You have ceased to be a passenger in your own life. You have stepped onto the bridge, and from the bridge, the view is very different. From the bridge, you can see the horizon, and for the first time, perhaps in a long time, you can set a course. Section 2. The architecture of discipline. Now that you have stepped onto the bridge of your life and looked out toward the horizon, we must discuss the nature of the voyage itself. It is one thing to decide upon a destination. It is quite another to hold the wheels steady when the fog rolls in, or when the sea becomes rough. This is where the true work begins. This is where the separation occurs between those who merely wish and those who achieve. You must understand that knowing the secret, that you become what you think about, is only the key. A key is useless if it is left in the pocket. It must be inserted into the lock and turned. That turning requires energy. It requires a specific kind of mental labor that is unfamiliar to the majority of the population. The greatest obstacle you will face is not external. It is not the economy, it is not your employer, and it is not your family history. The greatest obstacle is the undisciplined nature of the human mind itself. The mind, left to its own devices, is like a wild horse. It runs constantly, reacting to every sound, every movement, every shadow. It jumps from the past to the future, reliving old regrets and manufacturing new worries. To harness this power, you must break the horse. You must teach it to walk a straight line. This brings us to the concept of focus. In our modern world, attention is the scarcest currency. We are bombarded by distractions, thousands of them every day, all clamoring for a piece of your mental real estate. If you allow these distractions to dictate your train of thought, you are not the captain of your ship. You are a leaf in the wind. To apply the strangest secret, you must develop the ability to close the doors of your mind to the noise of the world and open them only to the specific, clear image of your goal. This requires a hardness of will. You must be able to look at your current circumstances, which may be lack, or illness, or confusion, and see through them. You must look at the facts of your life as they are today, and realize they are only the residual effects of your past thinking. They are dead. They are history. To change them, you must cease dwelling on them. If you focus on your debt, you will create more debt. If you focus on your loneliness, you will create more isolation. This sounds counterintuitive because we are taught to face reality. But I tell you, what you see with your eyes is only a temporary reality. The true reality is what you are building in the unseen workshop of your mind. You must have the courage to treat your goal as if it were already an accomplished fact. This is where the element of faith enters the equation. I am not speaking of religious faith in the theological sense, though the principle is similar. I am speaking of faith in the law of cause and effect. You must know with a mathematical certainty that if you hold the seed of your goal in your mind, and if you water it with constant expectant emotion, it must manifest. It is not a gamble. It is a transaction. However, there is a price to be paid. There is always a price. You cannot get something for nothing. The price of success, the price of realizing your worthy ideal, is the effort of maintaining a positive, constructive mindset in the face of a negative world. You will find that your mind wants to return to its old habits. It wants to worry. It is used to worrying. It feels comfortable in its anxiety, because that is the path of least resistance. When a negative thought enters your mind, and it will, you must be ready. You must stand guard at the door of your mind. When you detect a thought of fear or doubt, you must mentally stomp it out immediately. Do not entertain it. Do not analyze it. Replace it instantly with a mental image of your goal. This is a mental exercise. Much like lifting a weight is a physical exercise. If you lift a weight once, nothing happens to your muscle. But if you lift it every day, over and over, the muscle grows strong. It changes its structure. Your mind works the same way. By repeatedly rejecting the negative and substituting the positive, you are physically rewiring your brain. You are building new pathways. You are changing the very structure of your personality. Let us go deeper into this idea of the goal. It is not enough to simply say, I want to be rich, or I want to be happy. These are vague generalities. The universe cannot respond to a vague request any more than a contractor can build a house if you just tell him, build me something nice. You must be specific. You must define exactly what you want. If it is a certain amount of money, write down the exact figure. If it is a specific position in your career, define the title and the duties. If it is a state of health, visualize exactly how you will look and feel. You must see it in high definition. The clearer the image, the faster the realization. Why is clarity so important? Because clarity creates order. Confusion creates chaos. When your goal is sharp and defined, your subconscious mind can go to work on it. Your subconscious is a mechanism. It is a cybernetic guidance system. Once it has a clear target, it will steer you toward it automatically. It will alert you to opportunities you would have otherwise missed. It will give you ideas that seem to come from nowhere. It will influence your conversations and your choices. But if the target is blurry, the guidance system fails. It spins in circles. This is why you must write down your goal. There is something powerful about the connection between the hand and the brain. Writing it down crystallizes thought. It takes the ethereal and makes it physical. Carry that written goal with you. Look at it. Touch it. Let it remind you of your course. Now consider the concept of acting the part. To become the person you want to be, you must start being that person now. You do not wait until you have the money to become a person of substance. You become a person of substance internally, in your habits, in your speech, in your attitude, and then, and only then, does the money follow. This is the law of radiation and attraction. You attract what you are, not what you want. If you want to be a leader, you must conduct yourself with the poise and responsibility of a leader today, even if you are currently working in the mailroom. If you want to be wealthy, you must adopt the mindset of abundance today, even if your bank account is empty. You must feel the reality of your goal before it arrives. This requires a suspension of disbelief. It requires you to act a certain way until it becomes natural. At first it will feel like a performance. It will feel artificial. That is normal. You are wearing a new suit of clothes, and it feels stiff. But as you wear it, as you walk in it, it begins to fit. It begins to feel like you. Eventually, you cannot imagine wearing anything else. We must also address the relationship between your thinking and your contribution. There's a law that stands above many others in the realm of economics and personal achievement, the law of compensation. This law states that your rewards in life will always be in exact proportion to your contribution, your service. Many people try to bypass this law. They look for the shortcut. They look for the deal. They want the heat without putting wood in the stove, but it cannot be done. Money, satisfaction, and status are merely the echoes of service rendered. If you want to increase your income, you must increase your contribution. You must make yourself more valuable. And how do you make yourself more valuable? By thinking, by using your mind to solve problems for others, by finding ways to do your work better, faster, or more effectively than it has been done before. The person who works mechanically, without thought, has a ceiling on their value. The person who thinks, who is constantly looking for ways to improve the lives of others through their work, has no ceiling. Your goal, whatever it is, must be rooted in service. Even if your goal is purely financial, you must understand that the money is only a certificate of exchange. It is proof that you have provided value to someone else. Therefore, to focus on the money without focusing on the service is to focus on the effect while ignoring the cause. Focus on the service. Focus on the work. Focus on becoming a master of your craft. Use your mind to innovate. If you do this with the clear picture of your goal in mind, the rewards will take care of themselves. They must. It is the law. You may find, as you begin this process of disciplined thinking, that fear attempts to paralyze you. Fear of failure is the most common, but fear of success is just as prevalent. Fear is simply the misuse of the imagination. It is using your creative power to build a vision of what you do not want. When you feel fear, acknowledge it. Do not fight it, for that gives it energy. Simply recognize it for what it is. A shadow. A shadow cannot hurt you. It has no substance. It is merely the absence of light. The way to banish a shadow is not to beat it with a stick. It is to shine a light. Your goal is the light. Turn your mental gaze instantly to your goal, and the shadow of fear must vanish. You are embarking on a journey of self-mastery. It is a quiet journey. No one else needs to know what you are doing. In fact, it is often better if you keep your goal to yourself. Talking about it dissipates the energy. Keep it contained. Let the pressure build inside you. Let that pressure drive you into action. Remember that you are breaking a lifetime of conditioning. You have likely spent years, perhaps decades, reacting to the world, accepting the average, drifting with the crowd. Do not expect to reverse this momentum in an instant without effort. It will take time. It will take persistence. There will be days when you fail. There will be days when you catch yourself worrying, complaining, or drifting. Do not chastise yourself. Do not give up. Simply acknowledge the slip, adjust your grip on the wheel, and reset your course. The compass may waver, but as long as you return it to true north, you arrive. You must view this not as a chore, but as a game. It is the most exciting game in the world. It is the game of creating your own life. You are the sculptor, and your mind is the chisel. The marble is the raw material of your days. You can chip away at it carelessly, creating rubble, or you can strike it with precision, with a plan, with a vision, and release the masterpiece that hides within. The difference between the successful person and the failure is not that one has fewer problems than the other. Both have problems. The difference is in how they view them. The successful person views a problem as a challenge to be overcome, as a mental weight to be lifted to increase strength. The failure views a problem as a personal affront, as an excuse to stop trying. Your attitude, which is the physical manifestation of your thoughts, acts as a magnet. A sour, defeated attitude repels people and opportunities. A bright, expectant, confident attitude attracts them. People want to be around those who know where they are going. The world steps aside for the man or woman who walks with purpose. By taking control of your thoughts, you are taking control of your attitude. You are deciding before you even step out of bed in the morning what kind of day you are going to have. You are deciding that you will be cheerful, that you will be productive, that you will move one step closer to your goal, and because you have decided it, it will be so. This is the essence of the discipline. It is the refusal to let the external world dictate your internal state. It is the understanding that you are not a thermometer recording the temperature of your environment. You are a thermostat setting the temperature. As we proceed, we will look at the specific time frame needed to cement these new habits. We will discuss a 30-day experiment that can revolutionize your life. But for now, let this truth settle deep into your consciousness. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are the creator of circumstance. The power to change your world is not out there. It is right behind your eyes. It is waiting for your command. Give it the command of a clear, worthy goal, and watch the world transform around you. Section 3. The architecture of belief. You must understand that this power, the power to create circumstances rather than merely reflect them, is neutral. It is like electricity. Electricity is not good, and it is not bad. It simply is. You can use electricity to light a home, to cook a meal, and to warm a family. Or that same force can burn the house down. The electricity does not care. It functions according to laws. If you violate the laws of safety, you suffer. If you respect them, you benefit. Your mind functions in exactly the same way. It does not care what you plant in it. It cares only that you plant. Consider the analogy of the fertile earth. If a farmer has a plot of good rich land, the land gives him a choice. He may plant in that earth a seed of corn, a crop that will nourish and sustain. Or, right next to it, he may plant a seed of nightshade, a deadly poison. He digs 2 little holes in the earth and he plants both seeds, one corn, one nightshade. He covers them up. He waters them. He tends to them. What will happen? The land will return what was planted. As it is written, as you sow, so shall you reap. The land does not say, I will produce the corn because it is good, but I will not produce the nightshade because it is bad. The land is neutral. It returns the poison with just as much abundance and wonderful vitality as it returns the corn. The human mind is far more fertile, far more incredible and mysterious than the land. But it works the same way. It does not care whether you plant success or failure, a concrete, worthwhile goal or confusion, misunderstanding, fear, and anxiety. But what you plant, you must return to harvest. This brings us to a critical question. If this is true, and it is the one truth that has been taught by wise men for thousands of years, why do so few people use their minds to build a life of prosperity and peace? Why do the vast majority of people drift along, accepting a life of mediocrity or quiet desperation? The answer is found in the very nature of value. We have a tendency to undervalue things that are given to us for free. We value what we pay for. We equate price with worth. Because our mind came to us as standard equipment at birth, for free, we take it for granted. We treat it as common. But the things that cost us money are actually the cheapest things. We can replace a house. We can replace a car. We can replace a suit of clothes. We can lose an entire fortune and make another one. But the things we were given for free, our minds, our souls, our bodies, our hopes, our dreams, our ambitions, our intelligence, our love of family and children, and friends, these are the priceless things. These are the priceless things. And these are the things that cannot be replaced. Because we undervalue the mind, we fail to protect it. We leave the doors wide open. We let the winds of circumstance blow in whatever debris happens to be floating by. We allow the negativity of others, the sensationalism of the news, and the cynical gossip of the incompetent to take root in this fertile soil. And because the mind is neutral, It takes this debris and begins to grow it. It grows anxiety, it grows doubt, it grows a sense of helplessness. To master your life, you must become the vigilant guardian of your own mind. You must stand watch at the door. You must examine every thought that seeks entrance and ask, is this thought constructive? Does this thought align with my goal? Will this seed produce a harvest I want to reap? If the answer is no, you must turn it away. You must deny it entry. This requires a mental toughness that is rare. It is the ability to think independently of the crowd. Look at the people around you. Look at the society in which you live. You will notice that the great majority of people are not thinking. They are reacting. They are conforming. They are doing what they think they are supposed to do, acting the way their neighbors act, fearing what their neighbors fear. There is a tremendous pressure to conform. It is the path of least resistance. It is easier to drift with the current than to row against it. But you must remember that the current of the majority is usually flowing toward a destination you do not want to reach. The majority is often wrong. The majority is often scared. The majority is often broke. If you want to live above the average, you must stop thinking like the average. You must realize that your limitations are self-imposed. There is no ceiling on your potential other than the ceiling you build with your own beliefs. If you believe you're only worth a certain amount of income, you will find a way to stop yourself from earning more. If you believe you are not good at public speaking, you will manifest nervousness and stumbling whenever you try. You are not limited by your genetics, your background, or your education. You are limited by the size of your thinking. Expand your thinking, and you expand your life. However, we must address the difficulty of this undertaking. Thinking, true, constructive, directed thinking, is the hardest work there is. That is why so few people do it. It is much easier to let the mind idle. It is much easier to operate on autopilot. To take hold of your mind and force it to focus on a single definite goal, day after day, despite obstacles and distractions, requires an expenditure of energy that most people are unwilling to make. But this is the price. Everything in life has a price. You do not get the harvest without the labor. The price of success, of achieving that specific goal you have written down, is the constant daily discipline of your thoughts. It involves a specific kind of faith. I am not speaking of religious faith in this context, though they are related. I am speaking of faith in the law of cause and effect. You must know with absolute certainty that if you keep your mind on your goal, it must manifest. You do not need to worry about how it will happen. The Ahowi is not your department. The Ahowi is the domain of the subconscious and the universal laws. Your department is the what. If you know what you want, and you want it badly enough, and you keep it before your mind's eye, the answers will come. The doors will open. The walls will fall. But consider the alternative. Consider what happens when you do not exercise this control. We spoke earlier of fear. Worry is simply a sustained form of fear. Worry is the negative application of the creative process. When you worry, you are creating mental pictures of illness, of poverty, of failure, of embarrassment. You are visualizing exactly what you do not want. And because the law is neutral, because the soil does not care, your worry is a prayer for things you do not want. And sadly, it is a prayer that is often answered. You must understand that you are always moving towards something. Your mind is never truly still. It is always seeking a target. If you do not give it a positive target, it will latch on to a negative one. Nature abhors a vacuum. If you do not fill your mind with faith, fear will fill the void automatically. If you do not fill your mind with plans for success, Thoughts of failure will rush in to take their place. Therefore, the discipline is not merely a matter of thinking positive thoughts occasionally. It is a matter of displacement. You cannot simply say, I will not worry. That is like saying, I will not think of a white elephant. The more you try not to think of it, the more it dominates your mind. The only way to eliminate a negative thought is to replace it with a positive one. You must crowd it out. When the shadow of worry approaches, you must immediately, deliberately, and forcefully switch your mind to the picture of your goal. You must see yourself as having already achieved it. You must feel the emotion of that achievement. In that instant, the worry cannot exist. Two opposing thoughts cannot occupy the mind at the same time. This is the mental labor I speak of. It is a moment-by-moment practice. It is exhausting at first. You will find your mind wandering. You will find the old habits of doubt creeping back in like weeds in a garden. You have to pull them out. You have to keep the rows clean. But here's the wonderful truth. It gets easier. Just as you can form a habit of drifting and worrying, you can form a habit of focus and faith. A habit is simply a neural pathway that has been traveled so many times it becomes a highway. Right now, for many, the highway to failure is wide and paved. But if you begin to bushwhack a new path, the path of your goal, and you walk it every day, the brush will clear, the ground will harden. Eventually, it will become your highway, and the old road, the road to failure, will fall into disuse. It will become overgrown. It will eventually disappear. You are engaged in the process of rebuilding your entire psychological structure. You are tearing down a shack built of chance and hearsay, and you are erecting a skyscraper built of purpose and law. Do not be impatient with yourself. Growth takes time. You cannot force the corn to grow by pulling on the stalk. You provide the right conditions. The sun, the water, the soil, and the life force takes over. Your job is to provide the mental conditions. Your job is to keep the vision clear and the attitude positive. The life force, the creative power of the universe, will handle the growth. There is a rhythm to this. There is a time of sowing and a time of reaping. Most people give up during the time of germination. They plant the seed, they wait a week, they see no sprout, and they walk away in disgust. They dig up the seed to see if it is growing, thereby killing it. You must have the wisdom to know that much of the work is happening unseen, beneath the surface. Just because you do not see the physical evidence of your goal today does not mean it is not moving toward you. It is being arranged. The circumstances are aligning. The people you need to meet are moving into position. The ideas you need are incubating. Trust the process. Trust the law. As you stand on the precipice of the 30-day experiment we will discuss next, you must make a decision. You must decide if you are willing to pay the price. You must decide if you are willing to trade the easy comfort of the drift for the demanding rigors of the climb. The view from the drift is always the same. Other drifters, gray skies. The view from the climb changes with every step. The air gets thinner, yes, but it gets cleaner. The crowd thins out. And when you reach the summit, your goal, you will see a world that the drifters cannot even imagine. You are the architect. You are the builder. And the blueprint is in your hands. Now, we must look at how to apply this philosophy with surgical precision over the next month of your life. We must move from the theoretical to the practical. We must put the law to the test. Section 4. The law of compensation and the final reckoning. To put the law to the test is to move from the role of the observer to the role of the participant. Up until now, you may have treated these ideas as interesting theories, intellectual curiosities that sound pleasant but hold no weight in the physical world. That attitude must end now. Theory without application is useless. To know the principle and not apply it is no better than being ignorant of the principle altogether. The test we speak of is a 30-day period of total mental discipline. It is a period where you prove to yourself, beyond any shadow of a doubt, that you are the master of your destiny. But before you begin, you must understand the mechanism that brings your goal into reality. You must understand the law that governs all economic and personal return. It is the law of compensation. This law is as immutable as the law of gravity. It states quite simply that the returns you receive in life will be in direct proportion to the service you render. There is a great misunderstanding in the world today regarding this balance. You will see millions of people looking for a way to get something for nothing. They are looking for a shortcut. They are looking for a way to bypass the necessary effort. They stand before the stove of life and say, "Give me heat, and then I will put in the wood." Thunder, silence. But the laws of nature do not work that way. You must put in the wood first. You must generate the heat through your own effort, your own service, and your own contribution. Only then does the room become warm. Only then do you receive the benefit. Apply this to your goal. If your goal is financial, you must understand that money is nothing more than a yardstick of the service you have rendered to others. It is the harvest of your utility. You cannot legitimately acquire money without producing value. Therefore, during your 30-day test, and indeed for the rest of your life, you must stop worrying about the money itself. Instead, focus entirely on the service. Focus on the work. Focus on becoming the most competent, the most useful, the most creative individual in your field. If you take care of the service, the money will take care of itself. It has to. It is the law. When you focus on the reward rather than the contribution, you are looking at the wrong end of the equation. You are trying to harvest a crop you have not planted. This is the cause of much of the frustration and anxiety you see in the faces of those around you. They are anxiously watching the mailbox for a check they did not earn. Or they are bitter because the world has not given them what they believe they are owed. The world owes you nothing. The world was here first. You owe the world your talent, your energy, and your mind. When you pay that debt, the world will repay you with interest. This brings us to the definition of success. Throughout this explanation, we have defined success as the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. This definition is crucial because it places the victory in the journey, not just the destination. Success is not a destination you arrive at and then rest. Success is the quality of the journey, is the person you become while you are pursuing your goal. The moment you decide on a goal and begin to move toward it, you are successful. You are in that top 5% of the population who know where they are going. Do not measure your success by the bank account of your neighbor or the applause of the crowd. Measure it by your adherence to your own plan. Are you moving forward? Are you keeping your mind on your ideal? Are you picking yourself up when you fall? That is success. During this 30-day test, you will face the temptation to quit. The old habits of negative thinking are strong. They have deep roots. When things go wrong, and they will go wrong, for that is the nature of reality testing your resolve. Your first instinct will be to react with anger or despondency. You will want to blame circumstances. You will want to blame other people. In those moments, you must remember that your reaction is the seed of your future. If you react with defeat, you are planting defeat. If you react with calm determination, knowing that every obstacle carries within it the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit, you are planting victory. You are learning to become a person of character. Character is not built in the sunshine. It is built in the storm. It is easy to be positive when everything is going your way. Anyone can do that. But to remain positive, to remain focused on your vision when the sky is gray and the wind is cold, That is the mark of a master. That is where the separation occurs between the leaders and the followers. You must also understand the price you are paying. We have spoken of the price of success, which is discipline, effort, and persistence. But consider for a moment the price of failure. The price of failure is not merely the absence of wealth or accomplishment. The price of failure is a lifetime of regret. It is the dull, aching realization that you could have been more. It is the emptiness of a life lived in the shadows of your own potential. It is the boredom of the drift. People often say that success is hard, and it is. It requires focus and labor, but failure is infinitely harder. Failure extracts a toll on the human spirit that is unbearable. To live with the knowledge that you never tried, that you let fear dictate your actions, that you followed the crowd off the cliff of mediocrity. That is a burden far heavier than the discipline of success. Though the choice is not between a hard path and an easy path. It is between a path of disciplined growth that leads to fulfillment and a path of easy drifting that leads to regret. As you embark on this new way of thinking, you must keep your purpose simple. Do not complicate the process. Complexity is often a hiding place for doubt. The truth is always simple. You have a goal. You have a mind. You have the power to choose your thoughts. Review your goal every single day. Keep it written down. Carry it with you. Touch it. Look at it. By doing so, you are giving instructions to your subconscious mind. You are keeping the target visible. When you wake in the morning, let your goal be the first thing you think of. This gives your day direction. It gives you a reason to get out of bed with enthusiasm. Most people wake up without a reason, other than the habit of survival. You are waking up with a mission. Throughout the day, whenever your mind is not occupied with the specific task at hand, let it return to your goal. Visualize it as already accomplished. Live in the mental atmosphere of your achievement. Remember, the subconscious cannot tell the difference between a real experience and one that is vividly imagined. By living in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are magnetizing your life to attract the conditions necessary for its materialization. And at night, before you sleep, close your eyes with the concept of your success firmly in mind. Let it be the last thought that enters the darkness of sleep. If you do this, if you control the morning, the day, and the night, you are surrounding yourself with a new atmosphere. You are changing the frequency at which your mind operates. Do not worry about what others think of this new behavior. In fact, it is best to keep your goal and your method to yourself. Do not dissipate your energy by talking about it to people who will not understand. The cynics, the doubters, the drifters, they will only try to pull you back down to their level. They are uncomfortable with anyone who seeks to rise, because your ascent highlights their stagnation. Silence is a powerful container for power. Keep your counsel. Let your results speak for you. When the harvest comes in, and it surely will, the results will shout louder than any words you could have spoken. We have called this the strangest secret. It is strange because it is so rarely practiced. It is a secret because although it has been written in every holy book and taught by every wise philosopher in history, the vast majority of mankind remains blind to it. They search for the secret of success in the outer world. They look for it in the stock market, in the political landscape, in the luck of the draw. They believe that success is something that happens to them, rather than something that comes from them. The secret is that there is no secret outside of yourself. The key is not in the lock. The key is in your mind. As you would say, you become what you think about. This is the sum and substance of the law. It is the alpha and the omega of human achievement. If you think about little things, you will live a little life. If you think about grievances, You will live a life of conflict. If you think about failure, you will fail. But if you think about a worthy goal, if you think about service, if you think about growth and courage and prosperity, you will become the living embodiment of those thoughts. You are standing on a gold mine. The mind you possess is more valuable than all the gold in the earth. It is capable of solving any problem, overcoming any obstacle, and creating any reality you choose to design. But like a mine, it must be worked. You must dig. You must extract the ore. You cannot stand on top of the ground and complain that you are poor. The 30-day test is your pickaxe. It is your tool for excavation. Do not let this opportunity pass you by. Time is the one resource you cannot replenish. The sand is running through the hourglass whether you act or not. The next 30 days will pass. The next year will pass. The question is not whether time will pass, but what you will have to show for it when it is gone. Will you be in the same place, thinking the same thoughts, facing the same limitations? Or will you be miles ahead, breathing the rarefied air of achievement, looking back with gratitude at the moment you decided to take control? The universe is waiting for your command. It is neutral. It is ready. It says to you, what do you want? Plant the seed, and I will grow it. The responsibility is yours. The capability is yours. The future is yours. Start today. Not tomorrow. Tomorrow is a promissory note that is often never paid. Today is cash in hand. Spend it wisely. Clear your mind of the debris of fear. Fix your eyes on the horizon of your ideal. You have nothing to lose, for you are only risking your chains. You have a world to win. This is the strangest secret. Use it.